In the third act, in the very first scene of Shakespeare's famous play, Hamlet, Hamlet utters these famous words: "To be or not to be, that is the question." See, Hamlet was going through a time of suffering, and he was struggling with the idea of even being alive. We're in a time of suffering right now. Many people are asking that question. In fact, there are more suicides today than there have been in the United States in many years. People are struggling through what it is that we're going through, and it's easy to see why. There's all sorts of things happening in our world that are causing stress, that are causing anxiety, causing people to ask the question, to be or not to be. That is the question. In fact, that's the ultimate question for all of us. What is this life about? Is this life worth it? Should we keep on living? And I want to tell you that I have the answer, or I believe I have the answer. I have an answer, and I believe the answer is yes. To be or not to be? The answer is to be. Well, when we ask the question then, or when we answer the question that we want to be, then we ask more questions, and the time that we're in today brings up many more questions. As we sit here going to be or not to be, and we answer the question to be, then we have to ask, how do we live if we are to be? And that today is more confusing than it's probably ever been. There's all sorts of debates raging in our world today around what it means to be. How do I live? And how do I act? And how do I behave? And who should I be? And what does that look like? And how do I treat others? And how do I live in community? And how do I deal with everything going on? It's a very difficult time, a very difficult question, and a time that I think is it's more crucial in this time to be and to do it well than it ever has been before. See, the forever optimist in me says that we have a time that we're living in where we can have influence in a way that we may have never seen before. But it's going to take some really tough questions and answers to those tough questions, asking tough questions to be who it is that we're meant to be. One of those questions that's hanging in the air right now is this: to wear or not to wear? There is a huge mask debate going on in our culture. Many states have mandated them. I live in a state that hasn't yet mandated them, but we're going to hear from the governor here in the next couple of days as to whether they will be mandated or not. And there's a debate raging all over. Should I wear this or shouldn't I wear this? Does it benefit? Does it not benefit? Who am I helping? Who am I not helping? And it's become a divisive question and a divisive answer in our world today. As you watch social media, as you hear reporters, people all over the place are saying all sorts of different things. It's extremely confusing. So how do we respond? What is it that we should do? Well, today in our devotion, we're in Ephesians. We are going to pick up where we left off. Last time we were together was 3 weeks ago. I had a little bit of time off, which I'm thankful for. It was great to get away, and now we're back. And we ended in Ephesians 3:20, praying that God could do exceedingly abundantly more than we could ever think or imagine. And Paul comes out of that as he's writing to the church in Ephesians, and he gives us an idea of how we could see God do things exceedingly abundantly more than we could ever think or imagine. And he says this right away in Ephesians chapter 4. The first couple of verses read this way: "As a prisoner for the Lord, then, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you've received." Paul was writing this letter from prison. He says, as a prisoner for the Lord, I urge you, live a life worthy of the calling you've received. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to one hope when you were called. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. What a great passage for the world that we live in today. We do want to see God do exceedingly abundantly more than we could ever think or imagine. And he wants to do that through us. He's given us the opportunity to be right here in this time at this place. And Paul, who's stuck in prison, writing to the Ephesians, says, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received. It is a very high calling that we've received. If you believe that Jesus is your Savior and Lord, it's the highest of all callings in this world. And Paul says that we must live according to the call that we've received. And how should we live? Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. That means even when it comes to wearing masks. This is not a unifying thing in our world today. It's very dividing. In fact, I've seen it divide many people, and it's right now efforting to divide the church. We're about to go back on August 2nd together inside. In fact, we're going to gather next week for the very first time outside. We have not gathered yet as a church. We've been together digitally, but we have not gathered together as a church in a while. And as a church, we've asked, based off the recommendations of our government in the state that we live in, that we recommend that you wear one of these when you join us. We've made that recommendation because we want to care for people that are around us. Because wearing masks is something that we can do to love people, to be peaceful, to bring a bond of peace and unity. There are many people out there who are compromised in their immune systems. There are many people who are struggling with health issues. There are many people that could be harmed by this virus, and we care about those lives. And so we're recommending that. But on the flip side of it, I also want you to think about those that are not wearing masks, because there are many valid reasons to not wear a mask. Think about the individuals who have struggled with some sort of abuse, who have dealt with really tough things where the ability to breathe in those situations has been minimal. And putting on a mask reminds them of a terrible situation. Or somebody who also has health issues to where they can't wear a mask. Or somebody who has anxiety or struggles with claustrophobia. Those are all great reasons to not wear a mask. So as we come together in the next couple of weeks, we are recommending that you wear a mask. But if you don't, that's okay too. And our responsibility then as a church is we need to be one and be unified in the Spirit as we try to live in peace. There are great reasons for both sides of the argument, to wear or not to wear. I don't know. And so I think each one of us needs to wrestle through that and take these words of Paul to heart. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. I am really looking forward to getting together with our church specifically and with the church globally as we gather together again. But let's do it in a spirit of peace and unity. And so when you come in the next couple of weeks, wear a mask. And if you don't wear a mask, that's totally cool too. And you need to wrestle with how you're dealing with that. And you need to be convicted by the Spirit, and you need to struggle through it. In fact, I've been talking about this with a number of pastors. There's nothing that we can do to mandate or to say or to push people closer to God. It's not possible. But what the Spirit does is He convicts, and He challenges, and He pushes us closer to Him, and hopefully closer to each other. So make a decision that brings us closer together. Don't make a decision that divides us. Because right now, the church is needed in our culture. We are very divided. And if we can be unified, if we can come together, if we can love each other with or without a mask, just think about the impact that will have on those around us. It's a crazy time that we live in. So my challenge to each and every one of us is to choose to be. To be or not to be, it's not a question. The answer is to be, because your life is important. Your life matters. You can make a difference in this world today. And then let's live in peace. And let's be unified. With or without a mask, let's do the very best we possibly can. So when others see us, they see Jesus through us. Hopefully you're having a great week. See you next week.